My name is Patrick King, and this is SYNTHWAVE Ultra. This week's guest has established himself as not only an excellent producer, but also a standout member of the synthwave community. With his gleaming synth pop sounds, online shows and articles, and now iconic style, he is consistently helping drive the scene forward. My guest this week is Thorisson. All right, hello, I'm here with Thorisson. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey, so how did you get started in the whole synthwave retrowave thing?
So that would have been actually back in 2018 or 17. I never quite remember, but I started out doing trance music, actually. Was with the label and all that. And then just suddenly, you kind of get, want to try something else.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's kind of how it happened. I started just listening to 80s music. I think a lot of people, that's how they actually get into the whole scene, because that's what it's, built around. Started playing around, and the very first kind of synthwavy type of thing I did was a remix that I never actually released when I was preparing for a DJ set, and I made it into this kind of unknowingly. I took the Weekend, the I Can't Feel My Face song, and it ended up with all this, the classic rolling mid bass and the heavy reverbed snare.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that remix actually turned out to become One Night, which was my very first retrowave release back in 2018.
Nice. Yeah, that's interesting too that it started with a Weekend remix, because I know like he's been getting more and more into like the whole that whole sound. Although there's the whole thing with the Makeup Infinity set, which that's a whole other thing. But
yeah, it's different topic. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's really interesting though. So it was just kind of a development from your EDM and DJ background.
Yeah, kind of. I was actually never huge on DJing. That was actually that was my first DJ set as well, and I believe my last. Yeah, I've only done one kind of actual DJing, or no, actually three. What was that? But yeah, no, I've never been huge on DJing. Even though I think it's really cool, it is a skill that you have to develop, and I just never developed it, which is why I kind of focus more on saxophone and the live instruments part.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I had a deck and all, which I then sold. I kind of regret it now, because it's so fun to do.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it is definitely one of those skills where people are just like, oh, you can just go and hit play, but no, there's actually like, transitioning and like cutting things and like, doing it so everything's flow. I mean, yeah. Like
there's an art to it for sure. There's
Mm-hmm.
an art, and there's a definite skill that you need to have it. Beat matching and all that. It takes effort to make it come off like a lot of great DJs do.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, so who are some of your big influences and inspirations?
Influence is definitely, I like, when it comes to the retrowave stuff, I used to always have Depeche Mode and all those typical 80s fans, Tears for Fears and their name's actually escaping me now. The Don't You Forget About Me track and all that. That was always, like, at least for 5 of my songs, that's been one of the references.
Nice,
yeah, but then more recently, it's become more clear, like the whole Scandinavian pop culture of, the kind of thing that I'm calling new synth pop now. So you have people like Sigrid and Dagny and Hanimir, and these are huge influences on me at the moment.
Yeah, that's interesting because I remember you had that article on Absynth recently where yeah you're kind of breaking down like some of the different subgenres of like synthwave, synth pop, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that's really interesting.
Mhm.
And I know too, like you mentioned having that like delving more into like the Scandipop background. So I'm not really not totally familiar with that. So kind of tell me about some of that.
Scantipop, yeah, I think there's a whole blog devoted to it, Scantipop, as well, which is actually is what goes back to my roots. He's kind of the one that helped introduce me to that. But I think the whole movement around that, it's a fun arrangement. It's a fun production. It's a excellent, just the way they go about composing their music. There's obviously they have the same love of 80s synths.
Mm-hmm.
I feel there's a strong character to all these productions, which I feel especially in Norway, that's where the biggest inspiration I feel comes from. Yeah, I'd say it's very closely related to the core synthwave scene, and definitely is these two are very, very much related, I feel.
Yeah, that's really fascinating because yeah, like I guess I hadn't really thought of Scandinavia as being one of like the big regions for synthwave or for like electronic music, because I guess I feel like a lot of the times when you think of Scandinavia and like Norway, Finland, etc., you think of like death metal and black metal, not necessarily synthwave or EDM or
for sure.
Like
that. Yeah, that's actually true. There's the metal scene is strong in Scandinavia as well, but there's a lot of like the original synthwave artists. Mitch Murders from Sweden.
Oh, that's right.
And Robert Parker, he's Swedish as well. So there's definitely some of that culture that spread into Scandinavia as well. And I think the whole Kung Fury is from that's a Swedish director and creator of that.
Oh my god, I remember the first time I saw Kung Fury, because like I think I seen like bits of it, but then I saw it's like, oh cool, it's on YouTube. I'll just take half an hour and watch this, and just like, this is insane, but like it's so ridiculous, and it's so self-aware, and it's so much fun. So I'm super excited that they're doing a second one too.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that. It's one of the best films that's been made. It's just so ridiculously good.
Well, yeah, because I remember it's like what year is it? Oh, it's the prehistoric times. Oh, that explains the laser raptors. Yeah, it just thoroughly bizarre, but I mean it's very much in keeping with that like goofy like direct to VHS like 80s style.
Yeah, I love the hacker man as well.
That's right. Yeah, because he's a hacker, he's just cool.
He's so cool. I hope he makes an appearance in the second one as well.
For sure. So you mentioned your sax stuff. So I know like I've seen some of your clips on like Instagram where you'll like you'll play stuff on your sax. So like tell me about that. Like is that something you've just always kind of done, or how did that come about?
No, the sax, I've actually got it hanging here. The first sax that I
nice.
that I ever bought back over there. That was back in 2017 is when I got this very saxophone right there. I'd been working on this song, which was entirely built on MIDI. I had this plugin called the Sax Brothers doing that line on a song called New Dawn. I've actually removed it from Spotify now, but you can still hear it on YouTube. But it was very, you could kind of hear that it was made with technology. And at one point I got the opportunity to record an actual saxophone player in a studio. And throughout the whole thing, I was just like, oh, that's so cool. I wanna do that. I wanna be him,
Nice.
And so I just went and I bought this 200-pound piece from Amazon and started learning. You know, I took some lessons, and yeah, I kind of just built up to being able to play it live. When I actually performed that very song, which would have been around 7 months after I got it. So yeah, that was May 2018. And yeah, it kind of, you know, just started because I wanted to not have to rely on creating MIDI saxophone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a you know, it's funny you mentioned that with like a having like a synthesized sax, because I mean even just in kind of music in general, like I feel like it's especially apparent in like video game music, where there are a lot of times where there'll be like, you know, like a horn or orchestral section, and like you can really tell it's synthesized. So that's really cool that like you like just specifically went and picked up a saxophone and learned it, so that way you can have like an actual actual sax on your recordings.
Yeah, honestly, it's one of the hardest instruments to recreate, I've heard, because there's so many, you know, tonal variations and the vibrations and all that, which is very difficult to recreate. Maybe in, you know, 2400 we'll have the perfect saxophone VST. But yeah, for now it's hard to recreate with a piece of software.
Yeah, I mean, it's just yeah, like you said, I guess it's just like the tonality and like the depth of sound. But yeah, because like there are definitely times where like I've heard, yeah, like I've heard like a, you know, a synthesized orchestral section, and like it just sounds it sounds very like tinny, and just and like
yeah,
it's like distinctly just sounds artificial, and it kind of takes you out of it. So, you know, it's good to have that live instrumentation.
Although there's a few manufacturers that are like excellent. You know, I think Native Instrument has some very good, especially symphonic orchestral packs, but these are always, you know, $2,000 to buy. So yeah, if you want, like, you can go really super high end and buy some stuff that most might not even be able to tell the difference. And then even with that, you know, you have to go and create every piece of instrument as its own separate thing. So you wouldn't take like a you know, a sample that's just called symphony and do like a bunch of notes on that specific one. So you'd have to go and do a violin and a cello all separately, and you'd have to do like automation on that for it to actually be passable as an authentic orchestra creation. It's like, you know, having your own symphony in your computer, I guess, and you have to orchestrate it and all that, which is a skill on its own, I think. And I believe some people have actually managed to do that very, very well.
Yeah, that's fascinating, because yeah, I guess I mean, like I said, you basically have to go through and like set up every single instrument in an entire orchestra, and that just sounds like that would be just that. I guess I remember, you know, when you're reading about all these classical composers, and they're putting together these like grand, you know, orchestras and symphonies and all that, and like how they basically like plan out every single instrument. I guess I could just never wrap my head around that, just because I just can't think that way. So yeah, that sounds like it's basically like a modern version of that.
Yeah, I think so. I think it takes a lot of knowledge, to be honest. Like I'm not sure if I'd be able to do like a construct a full symphony. It sounds ridiculously difficult to do.
Yeah, well, you know, that's it. I mean, that definitely might be one of those like big undertakings if you're like, you know, like, I don't know, so like a high profile composer for you know, like film scores or something like that.
Yeah.
So I know, so pretty recently you've been doing a lot of stuff like Static Realms and Absynth. I know you do the weekly show with Zarina on with Absynth and Static Realms. How did that come about?
That actually started when they did a review on my track "In for the Win." So Serena did a review on that, and after which we got to talking, and she just explained, you know, what her vision with Absynth was, and I loved it. You know, it's art. It's made by artists for artists, which is a nice mentality to have, because it's you know, it's all people that know what's going on, and the hardships that you have to kind of go through as an artist. And I just asked, you know, how can I help, and it evolved into this thing where we started doing these shows. I started doing a few features, and now actually we've got a lot of musicians involved. You know, we got Mike Templar, for example, writing an article, Kiss, and that's a big feature in it as well. Jake from Electrodome, but you know, all credit to Serena, because she's really the one, you know, behind it all. She's the driving force. You know, all I do for the Absynth shows, I show up, but she's there, you know, doing all the programming, editing, and all that. So yeah, fair play to her. She's the driving force behind all of it.
Yeah. I've talked to other folks about that, and of course I talked to her about that too. Like, it's just, I don't know, she's just one of those folks in the scene who just like, she's just so just like creative and so creative and motivated, and just like, yeah, she's just a driving force, like, for just art in general, you know.
Yeah, definitely. She's one of the first artists actually that I started to follow when back in January 2021, which is when I actually started to get into the whole synthwave scene. She's one of the very first ones that caught my eye, and you know, I've been, you know, just pretty much in awe of like her creative capacity, I guess. You know, she's a brilliant artist. Yeah, most definitely. And it's interesting too how like she does, because like how like she also has like, it's like her vision, but she has like all these folks around her. Like I don't know, she and her husband do like all those awesome videos, and like and like they've got like Von Herzog doing I guess he does their mixing and engineering, I think. Von Herzog does. Yeah, he's kind of alongside her on this whole journey, and they are an excellent duo. You know, they create some magic. She's got an album actually coming out in probably going to be a couple of months now. It's in February, I think. Yeah, that's right. Because I know like Wonderland and Atomic, those are like the, you know, leading singles for it. So yeah, so that'll be really cool to see what she's got. Yeah, I'm excited for one. Yeah. Cool. So I know. So you pretty recently came out with "In for the Win." So what else have you been working on lately? Well, okay. So there's a few collaborations in progress. There's one. For now, let's say there's a lot of stuff in the works. I can't make any. I've not actually made any deadlines or any release dates. But yeah, I'm working with Bunny X on a new track. John Cow, we got something cooking up, and some stuff with Saoirse, and also a Norwegian artist called Siri Lynn, with whom I've actually done some collaborations with before. So yeah, there's stuff brewing, and we're, you know, just perfecting it. We're not in any rush with it. We want it to be as perfect as can be. But that's, yeah, and then give it a few months, you'll hear some new Thorisson stuff. There might actually be some jazz releases coming as well. We'll see. Yeah, that's cool, because yeah, kind of going back to the sax stuff. I know I feel like you've mentioned having like a kind of a jazz background, or at least having like, you know, an interest in doing some jazz. Actually, my jazz background is pretty much non-existent. I remember going to a jazz club in 2016, and I actually didn't enjoy it that much. I was just like, oh, what's this? But then went back to another one. in 2018, I was like, okay, this is cool, you know, they just make kind of improvising, and it works so well. And then I figured, you know, I was doing this thing for a charity. They asked me to do like a video, just, you know, just as a piece of content, you know. There wasn't anything behind that really for that particular video, but I decided, you know, I'll give this jazz thing a shot, and it kind of kickstarted my interest in it, and now, you know, there's no going back now. I love jazz.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a really interesting how that gets started, because I know I've definitely experienced that, where like you try something once and you're just like, I don't know, but then like, you know, you know, like as you kind of grow and like, you know, your taste develop and
exactly
and evolve,
exactly.
and then you try it again. It's like, this is actually pretty cool. So that's really interesting.
It's like blue cheese, you know, it grows in you. Although saying that, blue cheese hasn't grown on me yet, so pretty much hate it. But yeah, it's like it matures on you and kind of manifests itself into this huge thing that's now what you love.
Nice. That's great. It's funny. It's funny you mentioned blue cheese too, because like I feel like that is definitely one of those things. Like people, I don't see people get like as heated about it as some things, but it's definitely one of those where people either love it or they hate it, and there's no middle ground.
Yeah, what's your stance in blue cheese, Patrick?
I actually really like it.
You like it? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you always like it, or did it kind of grow on you?
I think I always liked it, just because I like how it's like, you know, very very tangy. Like I like stuff like that.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. My whole family likes it, and I still have not been able to get over the fact that it's mold. It is mold, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's basically like mold fermented. It's like exactly. Which because I know that's one of the reasons like I hear people say that they hate it, because they think it's gross. Because I mean, it's basically mold, but it's like it's a specific kind of mold that actually tastes really good and isn't disgusting.
Yeah. I'm not mucking blue cheese at all, you know. I just don't. I can't eat it myself. But yeah,
that's fair. Oh man. Well, so what do you get up to when you're not making music?
Apart from Absynth, obviously I like watching football. I like playing, by which I mean, you know, soccer. Yeah. Anyway, I guess. I like this thing called floorball. Actually, I play it once a week, where it's like hockey but not on ice, because I don't know how to skate. So I play that. That's the main things that I enjoy as well. But yeah, you know, whenever I get the chance, you know, I'll watch a good Will Ferrell movie as well. You know, just Will Ferrell or horror, actually, any kind of horror film. So I like to spend my spare time, I guess.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. Like was there is there like a specific genre of horror film you like, or is it just kind of anything that's creepy and scary?
Anything really, yeah. I do love The Conjuring. Like kind of high budgets, yeah. I think, but though, you know, it's anything. Oh, and I also brew beer sometimes.
Oh, wow. So
I recently made a batch of chili oregano beer.
Interesting. That's how did that turn out?
Doesn't taste like chili or oregano, but it's all right. It's drinkable. That's good enough for me. I'll drink that.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like gross fermented water or something.
No, not anymore. It used to.
That's cool. Yeah, I remember my wife and I had or like a couple of our friends got into microbrewing for a while, and like I remember he was telling me about it, how like there's obviously like a whole online community for it, and there's like recipes where you can make like banana beer and like all these and like things that are like, you know, really really out there. And yeah, just I mean there's definitely like a science and an art to that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I've read about some people making like chicken beer, or like they put like cooked chicken, and I was
Huh.
reading up on it, and some person was like, I just went and bought a bucket of KFC chicken and I used it to brew. And like, what? How do you? I mean, first of all, it's KFC. Why wouldn't you just eat it? I want to. but yeah, it's
Fried chicken beer. Ugh.
chicken beer. Yeah, there's a lot of strange things floating around there in the beer brewing community.
I've heard of some pretty out there ones like that, but yeah, fried chicken beer. That sounds. I don't know. Like I feel like I'd be almost curious to try that, but like.
Yeah. Maybe like I'd like to try maybe like half a pint of it. Just to see what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. Just for the experience.
Yeah.
So one thing I did want to ask about, you have since you really like broken into the scene this year, you definitely developed like your kind of like brand and style, namely that awesome mustache. So what was the idea behind that?
The mustache, it started as in every March we have this charity thing in Iceland where you grow a mustache. And I did it, I just got some support. It was only my family that donated, to be fair, to my cause, but shout out to my mom, my dad, and my sister. But we kind of just participated in that as a thing. All my brothers did it as well. And then I don't know, I just decided not to shave it off. It looked awful in the first couple of months, and it's grown. It's not the richest mustache you'll have. I have to kind of dye it, to be honest with you, to make it look like an actual mustache. but yeah, it's stuck, and I've grown to love it.
No, it's a good,
especially when I'm eating soup and I get all these soup in it, and I can just suck it out of the mustache. I don't actually do that.
the good old soup strainer.
Yeah, good old soup strainer.
No, it's funny though, because like I was looking at your Spotify page earlier, and like it has that big header photo with you on there, and it's like it looks like a totally different person, because it's an older photo. It's like, oh yeah, that's like, because I remember like when you were first kind of coming out earlier this year, it's just like, oh yeah, here's this guy who has this distinct look, and then back in I think it was like March or April, you had that now iconic photo where you're just like with the
the profile pic, yeah.
That's great. Cool. Well, was there anything else you wanted to add or promote or anything like that?
No, just check out Absynth. We're still up and about, and yeah, another mention is just to these amazing shows and what you're bringing to the community as a whole. You're one of the most supportive presences in the scene. So just a big shout out to yourself, Patrick King, for all your hard work.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, because I mean that's the thing. I just kind of the idea behind like the show and like my new playlist and daily picks and all that is, I really like Synthwave, and I really want to help like spread the word and promote it.
Yeah, definitely. I love all your Friday shout outs as well. You get in there and you find all those releases, and I've discovered some great artists through that as well, and I'm sure a lot of people do as well. Yeah,
that's good to know, because yeah, it's funny sometimes when I'll do the daily ones and like the big Friday ones, and like sometimes it just feels I'm kind of like shouting into the void. So that's good to hear.
Yeah. The thing is, there's a lot of it, but it still always shows up on the feed, and it's good that you don't maybe get discouraged. We all get those feelings, like you're just speaking to a wall with with your things. But yeah, you're keeping at it, and I can guarantee that people are noticing and people are appreciative of that for sure. I know I am. So
cool. Well, yeah, that's good to hear. All right. Well, Thorisson, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I guess I'll let you go, but we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for watching. That was my conversation with Thorisson. Be sure to check him out on Bandcamp, Spotify, and more. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram, and watch the Absynth video podcast every Friday on Twitch. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @PatrickKingArt. Be sure to check out the Synthwave Ultra playlist on Spotify for tons and tons of synthwave of every kind. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to this channel for more great synthwave conversations. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Synthwave Ultra.